Hey, hello everybody, welcome to the Sound Test Room. Today we are taking a look at Maschine Mark 3 and it's another beginner's guide tutorial. This one is about understanding the groups here, the scenes and the patterns and how they relate to each other and how you can make them work for your tracks and songs, etc. and projects and things. So first thing we want to do, this is an entirely blank project. There is nothing in it whatsoever. If you go to our arranger view here, you will see that there is scene one and there are no patterns in that scene. As we make patterns, they will be added to this scene. This is how we start. It's completely blank, but it automatically defaults to one scene for us. So let's go to our browser, and this is where we can add in our drum kits, our sounds, anything we want into our groups. So we're going to use group A and we're going to put a drum kit into group A, and I'm going to be using everything from the Maschine library today. So if you've only just got Maschine, you will 100% definitely have the Maschine library. Okay, so I've scrolled through these. I've got this on, if we hold shift and pre here, I've got it on pre here so that we can hear the kit. So I'm just going to use this Dracula Eastwood kit. Now, when you're previewing kits like this, and you don't want it to wait till it ends before you load it, or you want to mute that kit as it's playing on a pre here, all you need to do is press shift and mute, and that will kill the sound. And that works pretty much throughout Maschine. So we've got this Dracula Eastwood kit. If we hold shift and have this little plus patterns highlighted like this, once we press load here, it will import that pattern as well. But we don't want to do that. We really want to be making our own patterns, right? They're just for demoing the kit, if you like. So let's press load. Oh, I'll press it a bit harder than that. Oh, it's loading now. There you go. So now that's pretty loud, right? So first thing we want to be doing is going to our mixer and shifting up a level and turning this whole kit down like this till it reaches a sensible volume like this. So now we can go back into our program browser. So first place we want to do is we want to make a pattern. Press pattern, and then you can press shift and record anytime you like in Maschine and just play, right? However, I like to work in a fairly structured manner when I'm working with Maschine. So I like to create my pattern. So I'm going to press create, and it creates me one pattern. Okay. Now this will be also reflected in the software. Okay. But I like to try and work everything inside Maschine without having to go anywhere near the software. I just like the workflow. So now we've created a pattern, and you see where it says length auto. I'm going to make that 4 bars. Okay. Now I am going to go to events, and this is where I'll be able to see my data that it's recorded in. So I'm just going to record 4 bars of this one pattern like that. Okay, so I'm going to press shift and tap metro, so the metronome plays. I'm going to leave the volume. If you watch my first tutorial, I show you about the volume, the swing, etc. Press shift and record, and it will give us a 4-bar counting. Cool. Let's stop that metronome a sec. Now, let's hold shift, quantize. And that's quantized all our notes correctly. Also, it's still a bit loud, I feel. So go to mixer, go down a level. So now we're on the entire kit. And I think this snare needs to come down a little bit. Okay. So we can exit mixer now. This is our plugin browser. Now let's do this. Let's press stop. Let's go to our events. Let's add some other bits and pieces in, but let's make another pattern. Okay, so we're going to make another pattern for our group A. So we're going to go to pattern, and you will see that our pattern 1 is there. Now we could just duplicate that pattern, which is what we're going to do, or we could create a whole new blank empty pattern and record something in. But I'm going to duplicate it because I want to add to that pattern. So let's press duplicate, and it gives us pattern 2. Okay. Now we can go back to our event. Oh, and first of all, our pattern 2, because it's been duplicated, the length is already set to 4 bars. If you create a new pattern, you need to set your length again if you want to. Like I said, you don't really need to. So let's go to events and let's play. Because we've duplicated the pattern, we shall get this playing now as pattern 2. And now, before I press record, I'm going to just do a bit of practicing. Okay, so that's cool. So we're going to go. Cool. Shift, quantize. So now we've got 2 drum patterns, okay? We could add others, but let's stick with this and let's keep it simple. You can carry on adding patterns. Let's go to pattern again, and now we've got 2 patterns, and we can swap between those 2 patterns if we play. You can see them counting along. Or you can swap anytime you like. Brilliant. Okay. Now, if we go to C, you can also see, if you look really closely here, just under duplicate and where it says 120 BPM, it says scene 1, because at the moment we only have the 1 scene. Okay, so you can see it's scene 1 scene, no other scenes. If we go to our arranger here, it's just scene 1. But now you'll see that we have 2 patterns. And those 2 patterns are in scene 1 at the moment. That's kind of straightforward. It's kind of obvious, right? Let's do this now. Let's go to our plugin browser. Let's add another group, group B, which is going to be completely empty again. There's nothing in there. So we need to add another sound into our group. So what we shall do, I think, is instead of going for groups this time, let's go for sounds, and let's stay in Maschine. So just move around till you find sounds, stay in Maschine. And here you can choose let's go with bass synth maybe, and then subtype of bass, and then all subtypes, analog bass. And this will give us the sounds that are in the Maschine. We can preview them here as well. That's quite nice. All we need to do is hit load, and now it's loaded this onto there, and that's group B. So if I go back to group A, that's our drum kit. Group B is our, but nothing else there. We can load other sounds into these if we want to, but we want to be playing this like a keyboard, so we just press keyboard. I'm going to go to my mixer. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Okay, get back to my events now. I'm going to go to pattern. Now this is important, you see. If I go to our group A, we have 2 patterns created that we've just made for our drums. In group B, there are no patterns, so we're going to create one, and I'm going to set my length to 4 bars. Now you can set your length to whatever you like, or you can record freestyle if you want to. Okay, so now we've got to go to events. We've selected keyboard, and now we can play our sound in. Press keyboard again to see what the notes are and to select the scale or the type. Well, I'm going to select harmonic minor, and because it's a bass, I'm going to drop it down an octave. Okay, cool. So I'm going to press events again because I want to see what's happening as I'm recording this in. That's just a personal preference. You don't need to press events. You can just record it in. So let's have a quick practice, shall we? Let's restart our drums. And this is, remember, we're I think on pattern 1 for drums because there's none of that extra hi-hat added. If we wanted to play along with pattern 2 for drums, we could do that. Again, let's go to pattern, drums, pattern 1. Go back to this, go back to our events, and have a little practice what we might want to do. Yeah, like that. It's cool. So you can turn your metronome back on any time you want, by the way. I've just turned it off now because I have a reference of a pattern. So I'm going to press Shift, record. Stop, Shift, quantize to quantize it all in. Now I am going to be doing a tutorial for editing your MIDI if you make mistakes or want to move stuff around, but that's for another tutorial. Okay. So now we've got 2 drum patterns and 1 bass pattern. I am going to now show you how to create a new bass pattern. Instead of duplicating it, what we're going to do is we're just going to hit create. And you'll see that it's set to auto, which means it'll just carry and record. And I'm going to set it to 4 bars. So pattern 2 is going to be 4 bars. Pattern 1 is going to be 4 bars. You can set them to different lengths if you want to. And what we're going to do this time is go here, select pattern 2 for the drums. Let's go back to bass, go back to event, and have a listen. So nothing inside pattern 2 for basic because we haven't recorded anything. So let's hit Shift and record and make this one a little bit more busy. Brilliant. So now we have, if we look at our patterns, we have 2 patterns for bass. This one and this one, and we have 2 drum patterns as well. Okay, scenes is where you're going to be able to set all this up and make them play together. But should we add 1 more group? Yes, let's. Okay, so just for fun. So again, we'll go to our plugin browser, hit group. So now we're on group C, nothing in there, we know this. And what we need to do is let's choose this time an instrument, maybe a plucked instrument and an acoustic plucked instrument, and then it will find them all for us. And I particularly, I'm going to choose the sitar, so I'm going to load sitar in there, and there it is. And again, I'm going to just quickly drop that down in the mix a little bit. Go to pattern, because I'm on a new group now and I need to create a new pattern. I'm going to set my length to 4 just to keep it straightforward and obvious. I'm going to hit keyboard mode. I'm going to go to events so I can see what's been recorded in. But if I'm on it, by the way, you don't keep needing to set the scale and the key each time. It will remember what you've set for each thing. Otherwise it would take forever to keep changing instruments around. Anyway, press keyboard. Lovely. So let's just have a practice. Now I'm going to set, I'm going to go to pattern, hit this, go pattern 1, and then pattern 1. So pattern 1 and pattern 1, go here. Pattern 1 are group C, is the only pattern we've got so far. So we're starting with a pretty basic pattern. So let's just go to our event. this mad temptation to make things wobble. Right, so that's pretty cool. We record that quickly. So again, shift, record, gives us a count in. Stop, shift, quantize. Now, go to pattern, and I'm just going to create another new pattern. I'm going to set my length to 4. And over the same drums, to save changing the patterns backwards and forwards, I'm just going to record a different vibe, but over the same drums. We can sort this out in scenes, you see. This is where it all gets very cool. So I hope you're understanding this so far. We've got three different instruments. These are our groups: a drum kit, a bass, and a sitar. And also we've built a couple of patterns each. We're about to have built another pattern for this now. So let's go shift record. Stop, shift, quantize. I'm going to go into mixer. Now, this is where the fun starts, right? Now we have, if we go to patterns, we can see we have 2 patterns for our sitar, 2 patterns for our bass, 2 patterns for our drums. Let's go to pattern 1 for sitar. Let's just start with, it doesn't really matter. Now, let's go to scene. We only have 1 scene, and it's all going to be in that scene, everything. So this is where it's very cool, and where you're going to expand this thing massively for you. Okay, go to arranger now. You will see there that scene 1 is now relating to pattern 1, and pattern 1 in our 3 groups. You can switch patterns on and off, right, by unhighlighting them. I hope you can see that they go duller. So no pattern at all in scene 1, pattern 1, pattern 2 for group 1. Okay, so we're going to leave that on pattern 1. For pattern, right, what we're going to do now is we're going to duplicate. We're going to make more scenes. I'm not going to duplicate a scene. I'm going to make more scenes. So, scene 2, right, scene 3, scene 4, and you could add scene 5 if you wanted to. If you notice now that in scene 5, all these patterns are completely dull. There's nothing lit. In scene 4, there's nothing lit. In scene 3, there's nothing lit. In scene 2, there's nothing lit. And in scene 1, we have these 3 lit. But let's switch off all the patterns in scene 2, in group B, and all the patterns on the sitar to start with. Now, scene 1 is just this. Right? Let's go to scene 2. Let's switch on pattern 1 and switch on the first bass pattern. Okay, and scene 2 is now this. Great. Scene 3, switch on pattern 1, and pattern 1. And now scene 3 is this. Brilliant. And then for scene 4, we're going to choose pattern 2, and actually pattern 1 and pattern 1. So this is going to be for scene 4. Okay. And finally for scene 5, we're going to have everything playing pattern 2. So scene 5 will sound like this. Which is very cool. It's all very busy and very nice. Now, here's the thing, right? Scene selection, you'll see that it automatically created for us our 5 scenes. 4 and 5. So this is the way we can mess around. Now there is another way. There's a way you can get these to play on their own. So you just press play and they'll just play this kind of song mode. That's, and again, for another tutorial. This is enough to get you going. You can build up as many scenes as you like, as you've seen, add groups, instruments, etc., etc. Have a really good time doing that. And then you can perform your scenes on your scene page like this. Now, I might have mentioned in my first tutorial that sometimes if you select something on these mode switches here, they'll sort of go off like that. You need to hold and make sure that the scene button is switched on at the top, or the pattern button, because what happens is if you hold pattern, you let go, it disappears. You don't want that. Switch it on and it'll kind of latch it for you every time you change scene. So here we go, scenes. So scene 1 is this, scene 2 is this, scene 3, scene 4. You see it corresponds, and you can change the colors and stuff if you want to. That's up to you. So let's just start it all off. And we can watch our 4 bars count along here. I'll let that play again. Very cool. Don't forget, this is the super busy one. So we could go like, drop it down a bit, and then drop it back in with scene 5, which is super busy. Awesome. So there's your first kind of super basic 5 scenes, 3 groups, 2 patterns in each group. And when you go to arrange, you can see how you can set those up. I hope you find that helpful. If you did like the video, subscribe to the channel, consider becoming a patron or buy some merchandise. And bless you all. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and you got something fun out of it. And I will see you guys later. Ta-da.